How did you get introduced to NASCAR? What got you interested in the biggest stock car series in the world? Was it a member of your family who'd have the race on every Sunday and you as a child were forced to watch? Was it a specific driver? Maybe you saw them on a commercial or a TV show or something. Did you grow up playing racing video games and get introduced to the EA Sports or even the NASCAR Heat games? Was it when you tagged along with a group of friends to Talladega thinking you were just gonna get drunk and have a fantastic time only to realize you were incredibly invested in who won the actual race? Or was it the paint schemes? Specifically, one particular paint scheme that may have spoke to you. In a lot of ways, that's how I first got introduced to NASCAR. I became a Matt Kenseth fan first and foremost because I loved the yellow and black DeWalt car. When I first tuned into a race on TV and I saw this car when I first played NASCAR Thunder 2004 and I saw this beautiful car, ooh, it just spoke to me. Of course, I was just a little kid, easily distracted by shiny and pretty objects. I'm happy to report though that not much has changed. I still love looking at NASCAR paint schemes. NASCAR paint schemes are one of the biggest things that set the sport apart from other major motorsports. Today, as has become tradition on this channel, I've narrowed down all of the Cup Series paint schemes run this past year down to my top 10 favorite. So let's react to my favorite NASCAR Cup Series paint schemes of 2020 together. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric and welcome to Out of the Groove. Very special episode today. We're gonna jump right into looking at some dazzling paint schemes. We'll see which ones you guys agree with me on, which ones you disagree with me on. Some of these may be very predictable, but we'll get to that in just a moment. First, we have to thank today's sponsor, Mishmi Taken. You see these nice boots right here? They look a lot better on my feet, honestly. These boots have been described as the most breathable waterproof boots by Backpacker magazine. Your feet do not sweat in them even if it's 100 degrees outside. The super sticky Mega Grip rubber outsole grips even to wet, slick rocks, making you feel like Spider-Man. This stretch heel section means you won't hurt your Achilles tendon walking down a steep mountain. They work best when you need tough gear for the harshest conditions. They also sent me a beautiful jacket, one of the very few soft shell jackets which is waterproof as well as insulated. The boxed fleece is very soft to touch and traps air and keeps you warm. Oh gosh, I didn't even notice it has a zipper for your armpits. Whoa! Lets air in when you're hot and keeps you warm when you're cold. Functional and fashionable. Thank you to Mishmi Taken for sending me this awesome gear and for sponsoring this very special episode of Out of the Groove. Head to mishmitaken.com to check these out for yourself. Link to that is down in the description below. Alright, this was a really hard video to prepare. There were so many nice paint schemes this year. A few ground rules before we jump in. Firstly, I'm only looking at paint schemes that were run in 2020. They might be really similar to paint schemes run in 2018 or 2019, but if they were run in 2020, it's fair game. That is, unless the scheme is a throwback scheme. If it was run at Darlington or something, you know, that doesn't count because technically it's not really a 2020 paint scheme. It might look really nice in 2020, and believe me, there are some fantastic schemes at Darlington this year, but since that's technically not a 2020 scheme, it's like a 1990 or 2004 scheme or something like that, it's not going to count for this list. I already did a video over the summer where I looked at all of the throwback schemes and talked about my favorites, so if you missed that video, go check it out. So pretty simple rules, I'd say. Let's jump right in. We're going to start with number 10. We're going to go with my boy, an instant classic. He's all of our boys, that Jones boy, Eric Jones with the DeWalt paint scheme. He only ran this scheme, unfortunately, a few times this year, and there were some variants in it. The hood had some different logos on it, but this was what he ran at the beginning of the season, and oh my gosh, this is fantastic. As I said at the beginning of the video, I love the DeWalt colors, the black and yellow. That's what got me into NASCAR. That's why Out of the Groove's colors are black and yellow. The silver number on the door, I absolutely adore it. I know this turned out to be Eric Jones's last year with Joe Gibbs Racing and likely his last year with DeWalt as a primary scheme, but I'm glad that they finally gave him an original DeWalt paint scheme. Last couple of years, he's been running the same scheme that Kenseth ran in 2017, so I'm glad DeWalt was able to give Eric Jones his own dedicated, personalized black and yellow scheme. They had some other great schemes this year, like the Irwin Tools car, the Craftsman car had some good ones as well, but man, the DeWalt black and yellow, that's always going to be my favorite of the bunch. So starting this list off pretty strong. Number 10, I'm going with the DeWalt Toyota. Let's move on to number 9. This one surprised me. I did not see this one coming, but run at Martinsville just a few weeks back, Alex Bowman rocking the Planters Peanuts Chevrolet. Alex Bowman did not have many memorable paint schemes this year, unfortunately, with the black and gold generic looking Chevy Goods car. I'm not a huge fan of the Lumar car. The Cincinnati red and black, just kind of dry. He had some good ones as well, sure, but this was my favorite Alex Bowman scheme he ran all year. I believe he only ran it at Martinsville. It's the only race I remember him running it at. The blue is great. I love that the hood is not entirely symmetrical. I like that Mr. Peanut is off to the side. That's his name, right? Mr. Peanut, something like that. Really original name, Planters, but I just love it. I love the way this scheme looks. I love the blue and yellow. Works really, really well. I know it's just a solid blue paint scheme, but when the blue is just that perfect, when it's that bright and bold and in your face, I think it works really, really well. So this is my favorite Alex Bowman paint scheme of the 2020 season. I hope we see planters on more Hendrick cars going forward. Let's move on to number 8. The Bristol All-Star Race this summer was controversial, mainly for a few cosmetic reasons. Most notably, the addition of underglow lights coming out the back, the rear of the cars for the main event once the sun went down. Being there in person, it was cool. Definitely a gimmick. I don't think it's ever gonna last or stick, but it was cool to see at least once. But the other big controversy, arguably the bigger controversy, was the shifting of the number placement on the door. Rather than the car number being centered right underneath the driver window pretty much, the numbers were shifted towards the rear wheel a little bit, giving more room for sponsorship logos or whatever the heck it may have been. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Some people liked it, and I thought there were some cars that looked better than others. So with that being said, there is one car that I'm gonna put here on my top 10 list from the Bristol All-Star Race. Again, there were a few that really worked, there were a few that did not work whatsoever, but one of the cars that I loved the most, you guys are gonna think I'm playing favorites here, but I'm being honest with you, Matt Kenseth's Mcdonald's car. Sure, he ran in the back the entire race, but every time that car went by my seat, my eyes were stuck to it because look at this thing. They did the rear number placement the best, I think, of all of the sponsors that were in that race. You got the golden arches on the hood. I like how the golden arches sort of are cut off on the quarter panels on the side of the car, but there on the driver's side door, the way they included the McDonald's M, the black 42, you don't really see a black 42 or the black number on the McDonald's cars usually, so it kind of is different. It catches your attention, but honestly it works. When I first saw this scheme, I thought, why did they not just make the 42 red or something? And I mean, let me see, I can Photoshop it. I don't know if that looks better. That does look pretty good still. Actually, I don't know, but the black is cool. It's different. The McDonald's cars have made this list in recent years when Kyle Larson drove them, and I love some of the ones Matt Kenseth drove this year as well. The McDonald's cars in recent years have been fantastic, except for that Bubba Wallace one he ran a couple years ago that was mostly white. Yeah, except for that one. That one was a mistake. But other than that, the red and yellow ones have been fantastic. I like that they tried something new for the Bristol All-Star Race, and I think they did it very, very well. So this is the one and only Bristol All-Star Race scheme that's gonna make my list, because I'll be honest, maybe I'm a little blinded by favoritism, but I've always loved the McDonald's scheme even before Matt Kenseth drove it. This looks fantastic. I think they use that extra real estate very, very well. Let's move from one special race with special paint schemes to another race with special paint schemes. Kevin Harvick's Fireworks Busch Beer car from the July 4th, or July 5th technically, Brickyard 400. He won in this paint scheme. Is this the only scheme on the list that actually won a race this year? Ooh, no, okay, I don't want to spoil anything. We'll get to the other numbers in a moment, but I love this car. I talked about it at the time when I reacted to all the July 4th Independence Day schemes. This was one of my favorites. I think I ranked it second over the summer. I think I had the Oscar Mayer red, white, and blue one a little bit higher, like first on the list. I think I'm gonna flip those two. Maybe just time has changed. I don't know what's happened. Maybe my tastes have changed in a number of months. But the Fireworks Busch Beer car, I want to give Busch Beer some credit. Obviously, they stepped up this year as a premier partner of NASCAR, but for several years now, they have not been afraid to mix it up with their Kevin Harvick paint schemes. They've run plaid schemes. They've run the Millennial, the Gen Z car, Gen X car, whatever it was. They've run blue cars. They've run red cars. They've run orange cars, even purple cars. They've run so many different types of paint schemes promoting different variants of the Busch Beer brand. This one was fantastic as well. Perfect for the July 4th weekend theme. Things got fireworks on it. I mean, and they don't look cheesy and cheap. They look good. And the Eagle's a little over the top. I mean, this screams America. But hey, for a themed weekend like the Indianapolis weekend turned out to be, I think it's 100% warranted and should be encouraged. This paint scheme is beautiful. Love it. Where are we going now? Number 6. This is going to be... Okay, you know what? I'm already breaking one of my rules. I just realized this. Technically, I guess this is a throwback scheme. I think this was a throwback to like Keselowski's 2010 Xfinity car or something like that, but come on, they barely changed. All they did was add the black trim or the grayish trim around the bottom, and he ran this for like the entire second half of the season. He didn't just run this at Darlington. I'm not gonna... Okay, I kind of broke my own rules. This is, I guess, technically a throwback scheme. Oh, I can't even play by my own rules. This is a disaster, but I love this car. The discount tire cars I've always actually kind of liked. They've been pretty nice the last couple of years, even though they're very simple, but the white, red and black looks great. It's been fun seeing him in the Cup Series, and this car that he ran pretty much the whole second half, he ran this car throughout the playoffs. He ran this car, this paint scheme at Phoenix for the championship race. Oh man, it looks good. Usually I prefer colorful cars. I mean, you've already seen on this list, like the bright yellow DeWalt car, the red and white and yellow McDonald's, and the blue Alex Bowman. I like bright and colorful cars usually, but you know, plain white or plain black cars can be done extremely well, and I think this is an extremely well done white-based colored car. Made all that much better by the gray and sort of red stripe, the trim at the bottom. I guess this is technically a throwback car, but I'm still going to keep it on this list here at number 6. This is a fantastic paint scheme. I think this is one of the most underrated schemes that were on the track this year. Actually, maybe not, because obviously Discount Tire realized how good it was because they stuck with it even after the throwback race. They changed their paint scheme mid-season because they realized how much better this is than their previous scheme. So I guess it's not underrated. I guess the executives at Discount Tire knew exactly how great the scheme was and made sure we saw a lot of it the second half of this season. So I'm keeping it on the list. This is my show. I make the rules. I even change the rules in the middle of it if I want to. First half of the list done. We're getting into the top 5. The Hooters car, the Chase Elliott, black and orange, the midnight, whatever they called it this year, that Hooters car. I mean, it does look great. The matte finish, when I first saw this paint scheme, I wasn't sure, but when I saw it in real life and I saw the matte finish on the black, oh, this is beautiful. He ran a similar scheme in the truck race, and I even was at Walmart the other day and saw it in the toy section, because yes, I still go in the toy section at Walmart. Who doesn't? Come on, be honest with yourselves. But I saw that, the diecast for sale, and I was like, yeah, I gotta pick that up immediately. I was like, give me more. I ran to the checkout before someone saw it and tried to steal it from me. The black and orange Hooters colors look fantastic this year. I think they've really hit on something with this combo. This is a fantastic paint scheme. We've seen a lot of really good black and orange schemes in recent years, like Kurt Busch's gear wrench colors, or Corey LaJoie with some of his flames on like his Schluter car. The first two I can think of off the top of my head. We've seen a lot of great black and orange schemes is my point, but this is still the best in my opinion, so it's 5th on my list. One color we have not yet seen on my top 10 list is green. Well, Interstate Batteries brought some heat this year, so that's my number 4. Kyle Busch, and actually Eric Jones ran this for one race. Kyle Busch's new Interstate Batteries car. This is fantastic. It pops, it's well themed as well. I mean, batteries, power, energy. So the lightning bolts, the electric pizzazz all over this thing, it's fantastic. The candy cane striped Interstate Batteries cars for the last several years, I hope those are dead and gone and never seen again. This should be the basis of every Interstate Batteries scheme from here till the end of time. This looks fantastic. I got to see this scheme in person at a couple of the races I went to earlier this year, and oh my gosh, it was so good that when I went to Auto Club, I made sure to stop by the Kyle Busch hauler and buy the diecast as soon as I could so I could use it in that stop motion video I did earlier in the spring. This paint scheme was fantastic, knocked my socks off. I loved it, so definitely worthy of a top 5 spot here in my rankings. I don't really love the color green. I don't consider green to be one of my favorite colors, but when it's done well, I mean, I'll respect it. This is well done. We've made it to the top 3. This is where things will get controversial, I'm sure. Number 3, I've got the Sunny D car. I know. If you've watched my channel for the last year or two, you'll know in recent years, the Sunny D car has been right at the top or very near the top of my list every chance I get to talk about it. The Sunny D car is fantastic. They didn't change really anything from last year to this year, so it's still the same glorious scheme we've come to know and love. And my goodness, it is still extremely hot. I can't say anything bad about this paint scheme. The only reason it's not number 1 on my list is, I guess, because I've seen it before. I'm getting a little tired of it. I have a diecast of it on my desk. I see it every single day. And maybe the fact that I've seen it every single day, it just doesn't feel quite as special as it did a year ago when it just absolutely blew the skin off my face. And I know that's unfair to the Sunny D car. I mean, it's still the same perfect scheme it was a year ago, but I guess I've just seen it now. And I'd hate to see them change it because it ain't broken. It sure as heck is not broken, so they don't need to fix it. But maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and have a completely different opinion. It'll be back to the top of my list. I have no idea. But today, for the sake of this video, it's coming in at number 3. I mean, the fact that 2 years straight, this paint scheme has landed in the top 3 of my favorite paint schemes of the year means it's perfect, means it's absolutely beautiful. These next 2 I think are going to be controversial. We'll see if you guys agree or not. Number 2, I have Austin Dillon's Bass Pro Shops number 3 scheme. This is where I think some of y'all might disagree. I can see y'all heading to the comment section right now. Hear me out, hear me out. I know I kind of made fun of this scheme at the beginning of this year because it's clear they're trying to play up some of the Dale Earnhardt's nostalgia with the way the trim works at the bottom. This car has silver on the bottom. Dale Earnhardt's most famous paint schemes often had kind of silver on the bottom. The difference here is the orange, the neon Dayglow Bass Pro Shops orange looks really, really good. And I wasn't sure about it at first, but I do like the way the stripe sort of is notched out so that the 3's not covering it at all. I thought that was kind of a weird look when I first saw it, but it grew on me fast. The orange on the roof as well. This paint scheme is fantastic. Getting to see it win at Texas earlier this year was really, really cool. Some of the shots of that car doing burnouts, in front of actual fans, which we didn't see much of this year. Those are some of my favorite photos, my favorite shots of the whole season. Yes, it is shamelessly kind of invoking the memory of Dale Earnhardt and again attributing Dale Earnhardt's legacy to Austin Dillon because that's the only thing Austin Dillon has going for him. Yes, I understand that's what they're doing, but man, they are doing it really, really well, and I love the Bass Pro Shops orange. I love Noah Gragson's Bass Pro Shops cars he ran in Xfinity this year because I love the neon orange, and his car was more silver, which is also quite fantastic, but the black on Austin Dillon's car, man, it works. It really makes that orange pop. I feel like a lot of you will disagree with me on this one, but I really like this paint scheme, and they ran it a few times this year, and I loved it. This is really good. Maybe second, might be seen as a little high on the list for some people, but I love it. Remember what I said earlier, you can do a base white or a base black scheme and do it really, really well. This is an example of them doing it very well, about as well as you possibly can. So I'm going to give Austin Dillon's Bass Pro scheme second on my list. Before we talk about number one on my list, here are some honorable mentions, some other fantastic paint schemes that were run this year. Couldn't quite find room on my list for all of these schemes, but I really liked a lot of the schemes you see right here. Just flipping through them really quick. Oh yeah, the Valvoline Alex. I wish they ran that scheme more often. That thing is nice. I still love the gear wrench car a lot. These orange and black schemes, man, are fantastic. I honestly like Jimmy Johnson's black Ally scheme a little more than his white Ally scheme, I'll just be honest, so I'm actually throwing that in the honorable mentions as well. Oh, the Coke Energy scheme was good as well. Man, Bubba had some great schemes too. Air Force car as always is great. Oh man, yeah, these are some of your honorable mentions. Let me know what you guys think. But now, without further ado, let's look at number one on my list. Number one, Jimmy Johnson's Final Ride Silver Ally scheme run at Phoenix, the championship finale. He finished 5th in this car, and my goodness, it's beautiful. I must have a thing for silver this year. That must be what it is. The silver is the base color here. I didn't know how this would look. When I first saw the renderings, I was a little skeptical, but when I saw this thing on track in the setting Phoenix sunlight, this thing is fantastic. This is a beautiful race car. You guys are going to think I'm schmoozing the Jimmy Johnson fan. Sure, maybe there's a small tear in my eye knowing that was Jimmy's last race and part of my childhood was dying. But no, objectively speaking, I love silver schemes, especially when they're painted correctly like this, where you actually get the shimmer, the glow, the shine actually comes through. Too many cars these days are wrapped with sort of a dead, just matte gray. Like, I think of Kyle Busch ran that like zombie M&M's car or whatever a few weeks back, and it just, if it had been silver, it would have looked cool. It just looked, I mean, maybe that's the point, but it looked dead. It looked dead. I mean, I guess it was the zombies car, but it was bland. It was very flat. Eric Jones, when he ran that a Tony Stewart throwback this year, and it was supposed to look silver, it just looked like a murky gray. That was terrible, but when they paint these cars correctly, silver looks fantastic. So does gold. To keep in mind, last year when RCR ran some of those gold schemes for their 50th anniversary, those look great as well. I love silver and gold. Who doesn't? Silver as a base paint scheme on Jimmy Johnson's car this year looked absolutely amazing. The neon yellow 48, of course, the Jimmy Johnson signature look. I mean, this car looks amazing. Some of you guys are going to disagree, but when I saw this thing actually on the track, it stood out to me. I love that Jimmy Johnson also had a matching gray and purple fire suit for his final race. I thought it made for great imagery at the end of the race with Chase Elliott and Jimmy Johnson celebrating together with those two race cars on track. I mean, those were two of the most beautiful cars in that race, in my opinion, and they look fantastic together. So I'm going to give Jimmy Johnson his one and only win this season. The Silver 48 was my favorite paint scheme of 2020. Let me know what you guys think of my top 10 list. There you have it. There they are. Wow. Yeah, a lot of good ones. A lot of variety, like color variety. Look, we got yellow, we got green, we got silver, we got blue, we got all the colors pretty much represented here. We don't have a good purple car. Oh, were there any good purple schemes this year? Jimmy's car has a lot of purple on it, but I need another Crown Royal scheme. I need one of these beautiful, I need one of these again. We need some more Crown Royal schemes. We need those to come back. There you have it, y'all. Those are my 10 favorite paint schemes from 2020. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you agree with any of my selections, if you disagree, let me know what you think down in the comments. What was your favorite paint scheme of the 2020 season? Let me know. I look forward to reading all your responses. That's all I've got for today's episode. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Plenty more to come this week. If you missed it yesterday, I interviewed Sam Mayer, ARCA East Series champion and future NASCAR star, in my opinion. That was fun to talk to Sam. Check that out if you missed it. Also, a big thank you, of course, to my amazing Patreon supporters. I could not do this show without your continued support. Plenty more to come this week. Thank you all for watching once again. I will see you all very, very soon. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend and start to the week of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. The holidays are amidst us. We are here. Gonna have to get the Christmas decorations out here pretty soon. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you again real soon.